Today we're going to look at one of the most interesting coffee makers I have in my collection. This is a Silex vacuum pot. I believe that it comes from at least after 1946. The rather phallic filter in the center there, this thing right here, was patented by Silex in 1946. So this comes sometime after that. If you're not familiar with the vacuum pot, it's kind of like magic. I'll be perfectly honest, I haven't used this very often, so some of the problems that we may see today might result from user error, but it's the process is you fill the bottom here with water. It then heats up and expands, and the steam forces the hot water, the water that's been heated, to go up into the top where the coffee grounds, where it steeps with the coffee grounds. And then when you remove it from heat, the vacuum, that's why it's called a vacuum pot, the vacuum that's created down here when everything condenses, sucks the water down, and the grounds all stay on the top. As you can see, it's got four principal parts. This rubber gasket can be replaced, and these sometimes dry out and don't function properly. I have a metal vacuum pot that I cannot separate the top from the bottom because it has dried out. You'll notice on the bottom of the filter, and there are other ways in which the filters can work, it's got a number of small ridges. That's what keeps the coffee grounds from coming back down into the coffee once it's done brewing. This then simply goes in here. That ball goes down to the bottom, which I can't do with one hand, and the spring keeps it in place. There it is in place and being held in its location by the spring. Here I'm expressing my ignorance. This looks like it might go on the top, but there's no real reason for anything to go on the top of the chamber here. It doesn't fit on here unless it goes like this, and it's designed to open and shut to when you pour the coffee. I'm not sure that that's its intended use. I started heating the water at 250 on the clock back there. The glass is made out of Pyrex, so it should be able to handle all sorts of thermal change. It was made by Corningware for Silex. One of the instructions that I read online said that you shouldn't add the coffee grounds to the top until all of the water's there. I'm going to go ahead and add it early. Again, hubris and user error may be my downfall. There's part of me that's a little concerned that I haven't been able to get the glass, or the ring, the gasket, to make a perfect seal there. We'll see how it works out. One of the things I've been instructed too is that you shouldn't use more than medium heat in order to heat this. I'm not sure if that... Well, I assume it's just so that you don't break the Pyrex or break the glass, which means, of course, this will take longer. Here we are, 5 minutes. Water's really not boiling or doing much. So you can see that we're starting to get a bit of water coming up into the top, and I'm actually taking that as a really good sign that the water, or that the gasket, is maintaining a decent seal so that the steam isn't escaping. I'm a little concerned that with the way I'm doing it, I'm not it's not going to be hot enough. That's the water, it's not boiling water. So we're going to check its temperature. One thing that this coffee maker has going for it is it's really, really pretty. And it has an air of magic that I don't know that we get with anything else. Not even the beloved percolator has the same dramatic effect that we have with this. As you can see, the bottom is almost empty, or is getting closer to being empty. Once that has gone down almost all the way, we will put it on a simmer and then let it seep. Oh, and there we go. No more water is going to be able to go up. We're going to let it simmer in the top, or steep in the top. What you see here in the top is not boiling water, rather it's steam coming from the bottom up through. The water at the top is, however, significantly warmer, but still not as hot as you're looking for ideal extraction. I have let it steep for about 2 minutes, and so we are going to take it off the heat, and this is where the excitement really happens. The coffee is being sucked down. The coffee is being sucked down into the bottom carafe. The grounds are staying in the top. And we have coffee. Here's where things get a little bit tricky for me, as far as I'm concerned, with this coffee brewing method, especially with this particular pot. We now have to remove the top, which is quite hot and is still dripping a little bit. You can touch it, and of course it also has to be pried out because of course it has the gasket there. I finally got it taken off. It needed both hands, and the Chemex is working as a lovely place to keep the top of the carafe. The coffee, when it's done, is about 175 degrees. In part, that's because, of course, the water was boiling down in the bottom. And let's see how it pours. It looks fairly thin. I may have to give this another go, because I think this coffee maker can do better than I did this time with it. You can see on the top there's clearly noticeable oils, much in the same way that you would get from a French press. Both the vacuum pot and the French press don't have any paper filter, or at least the vacuum pot with the filter that I showed you, the lock-in filter. So you'll definitely get lots of oils, and the coffee's a bit weak. I think most of that is because of user error on my part. It's crisp, surprisingly crisp, considering it doesn't have any paper filters. The lock-in glass filter does a really good job of keeping the coffee grounds out. There's little to no sediment that I've noticed so far. I wonder if we can see any in the coffee maker itself. No, little to no sediment. Oils are nice, and it's got a lovely flavor. I'm going to make another pot with this coffee maker and see if I can do better the second time around. But all in all, it's a neat way of making coffee. It has an air of sophistication and chemistry that you don't see with other coffee makers. It's kind of a pageant and putting on a show. If you want to impress your dinner guests, you might do a vacuum pot. That said, for day-to-day use, it's a pain in the ass. It's going to be a bit of a mess to clean that up, and you have to navigate pulling the top off and pouring it. It's not a coffee maker for day-to-day use, with the exception of the spring holding the filter into place. It does, however, have no metal parts that come in contact with the coffee. It's not going to impart any metallic flavor, and the Pyrex that gets used for it is clearly able to withstand any of the temperature variations and does not react with the coffee at all. The cleanup wasn't nearly as bad as I expected. It was a lot like cleaning up a French press. Once you take the filter out, you can just rinse the coffee grounds down your garbage disposal. All in all, I like this machine. The coffee seems to be good, even with my user error. I think I can make it better next time. And it really does have pageantry and an air of exoticness. Exoticness? What have you, that will probably impress your guests if you're looking for that. The water in the top where it's steeping is right in the perfect range for extraction. I have high hopes. It's been removed from the heat after about 2.5 minutes. The bottom chamber's cooling, drawing down the coffee from the upper chamber. I wonder if I didn't make as good of a seal this time around.